3 women from Salem Village have been accused of witchcraft and sent to Boston jail, where they await a formal trial. Among them is Tituba, the enslaved servant of arguably the most godly man in Salem, the village's minister, Samuel Parris. Under intense pressure from Puritan leaders at her examination, Tituba confessed to meeting the devil. But she also claimed that she was not the only one.
He told me I'd have to sign his book.
She elaborates upon her confession, confirming Salem Village's worst fears.
There is a witch hunting manual that suggests that the surest way to identify a witch is on the word of another confessed witch.
Black hat.
Tituba said there were 9 and spoke about this man in black, the dark man. If you believed all this, there are 6 more out there, and there's the ringleader, the devil's agent, the most evil central actor, the man in black.
The disturbing convulsions that began with the girls of the Salem parsonage now start to spread to others in the community.
Stop it!
These sorts of behaviors, they're highly contagious because of being adolescents and teenagers. Peer influences everything.
The affliction spread out of the Parris household to subsequent households and out of the young age group and into the adolescent and then adult age group.
This moves from the hand of Satan upon the Parris household to the hand of Satan upon all of Salem Village.
Lord, I ask for your deliverance.
Fearing the spread of demonic forces, Samuel Parris has sent his afflicted daughter Betty away to stay with a colleague. But his niece and maid Abigail Williams remains in the parsonage. Parris calls for days of fasting and prayers.
Unsurprisingly, the days of fasting and prayer don't do anything to free the girls from their bewitchment. Samuel Parris perhaps should have looked to his own soul and said, why would God have brought this onto my household? What have I done?
He may not have seen it as an embarrassment. He may have seen it as validation of his godliness, that he would be visited by this demonic torment.
The young women who were afflicted by possessions, by seizures, by fits in Salem were having to come to terms with a world that was, in many respects, loaded against them. It was hostile. They were subject to patriarchy and to an overbearing church. And any freedoms that we think of today of expression in terms of ideas, dress, even the ability to dance or to seek their own husband were being denied to them. These were well thought of, well brought up, godly young women who suddenly were not acting in that way at all.
Here we have one of Goya's pictures from the Enlightenment period. A figure beset by demons could be exorcised by a Catholic priest. Goya intended these things not so much as records of actual witchcraft, but as satire against superstition.
Unfortunately, the idea of possession is still with us. We often see possession happening now in developing countries. It tends to revolve around, it has to be said, the subordination of women to male authority. After all, there's very rarely a woman exorcist. So, neuroses, medical problems, trauma, all these things can be wrapped up in a simple formula that looks for demons. And if you look hard enough for evil, and if you look hard enough for demons, I'm afraid you'll be sure to find them.
The daughter of local landowner Thomas Putnam, Ann Putnam Jr., has also been suffering mysterious seizures. She too has had visions of spectral witches attacking her. But the next person she names shocks everyone.
Stop!
On March 11th, Ann Putnam Jr. names one of the specters that has been afflicting her and causing her fits.
Who do you see?
And she names a new sort of suspect.
Who's hurting you?
The fourth person who's accused is Martha Corey. This is surprising to Thomas Putnam, given the nature of the first three women who were accused.
The first three women fit the stereotypical image of a witch.
This is someone who has the respect of her community and is deemed by her neighbors to be a pious woman. At the same time, Martha Corey had a somewhat troublesome past. She had an illegitimate child that she'd had with an indentured servant. She also had a reputation for being outspoken. And that's another sort of quality that witches were supposed to have. Women who were known to be scolds of their husbands, women who were outspoken about their views, were likely to be thought of as the sort of rebellious people that would give themselves over to the devil.
As with the previous examinations, Martha Corey is brought to the village meeting house to face Magistrate John Haythorne.
Dear Lord, we ask for your wisdom and guidance.
Please, let me go to prayer.
No, I do not send you for prayer.
The afflicted girls are once again present, but there are now over a dozen of them, and emboldened by their growing numbers, they immediately suffer terrifying convulsions.
There's a strange physical, performative quality to the way that the afflicted girls behave, which is then reinforced by the spectatorship of the crowd.
Tell me, why do you hurt these children?
John Haythorne begins with a series of leading questions.
I am an innocent person. I've never had to do with witchcraft since I was born.
Then Martha's husband, Giles Corey, is called to give evidence.
We've had several mysterious things happen.
Giles presents a long list of behaviors, which he claims to find odd. And it quickly becomes clear he holds a grudge against his wife.
I don't know if she prays.
He claims that when his wife prays, he can see her lips move, but he cannot hear her.
A lot of books. Dangerous. Not healthy to read so much, especially for a woman.
And from that moment on, she seems to lose the sympathy of the court.
Martha repeatedly claims she is a gospel woman.
Gospel witch!
But as the girl's seizures worsen, it seems clear to everyone that Martha must be the cause.
How do you explain this?
But then, Martha suggests the girl's behavior has another cause.
Let us not believe all that these distracted children say.
Distracted being another term for someone who's having a psychological problem.
She shall not come here.
As chaos engulfs the courtroom, Haythorne makes no attempt to keep order.
I urge you to confess.
He doesn't even object when a shoe is thrown and hits Martha on the head.
I have seen enough. Take her away.
Martha is taken away to Boston jail to join the other accused witches, and everyone in Salem Village is left wondering who will be next. It seems any name at all might be shrieked in the parsonage, and then whispered from one farm to another. The accusation against Martha Corey fills Salem Village with paranoia and suspicion. And yet, no one is prepared for who is named next.
Please, come in. I'm afraid you arrive at a difficult moment.
Deodat Lawson is visiting the parsonage when he witnesses a bizarre fit.
Abigail Williams is described as running around the kitchen, flapping her arms and saying, wish, 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 and saying she's gonna fly up the chimney. Which, if you've ever hung out with an 11-year-old girl, is just kind of like how they act when they're being silly. But because Abigail was stepping outside the bounds of what was culturally acceptable for her behavior, she was considered to be somehow taken by the devil.
It no doubt reinforced for Lawson the demonic assault that the community was under.
What is it?
Do you not see her? Why, there she stands.
Who does?
Good wife nurse.
Rebecca Nurse, an older woman, well-respected from a good family, was seen by many to be this incredibly pious, upstanding woman. She seemed to truly be among the Puritan saints. How was it that she could be a witch?
Rebecca Nurse is 71 years old and seriously ill. When 4 friends hear that she has been named as a suspect, they go to visit her.
She has been very prominent in the community. She's part of a very prominent family.
Despite my illness, I can tell you I've experienced much spiritual comfort, although my hearing worsens by the day.
You could see the accusation spreading to her, perhaps because of that very visibility, because of the way she looms large in the public's imagination.
I pity those poor afflicted children with all my heart.
She had nothing but kind words for the girls.
I go to God for them.
And then they felt they had to tell her that she herself had been named.
You are spoken of too.
Me?
The naming of Rebecca Nurse is really a critical turning point.
Rebecca Nurse, you stand accused by these children. What do you say to it?
I could say before my eternal Father, I am innocent.
It's one thing to go after outliers. It's another thing to go after pillars of the community. So now you have accusers who are predominantly the least trusted members of the community, trumping the word of the most trusted members of the community. So this is a reversal of the world.
And yet, they accuse you.
All I can say is I am innocent. I've done nothing wrong.
If she is innocent, why does she continue to hurt the children? Can she not see that the children are hurt?
Rebecca's examination soon becomes even more frenzied than Martha Corey's.
The girls started imitating her movements, like little girls at school making fun of somebody.
I think for a lot of the girls, they initially may have gotten caught up in this drama. Maybe some of them cynically wanted to get involved in the fun, but I do think others genuinely came to believe that Satan had laid his hand upon them as well.
How do you explain this?
I cannot. It is false. I am clear.
Rebecca's claim of innocence sends the girls into uncontrollable seizures, while Ann Putnam Jr. sees the devil himself standing at her shoulder. Meanwhile, another suspect faces questioning.
And what about you?
Dorothy Good is the 4-year-old daughter of Sarah Good, the beggar woman who has already been imprisoned. The assumption is that if her mother is a witch, the daughter surely is as well.
What familiars did the devil give you?
Another piece of evidence is based on the belief that all witches suckle animals to carry out their bidding.
I have a little snake that suckles on my hand.
Show me. Where does the snake bite you? There?
No, not there. Here, see?
She pointed to a little sore on her finger.
Did the man in black give you the snake?
No.
What was it then?
My mom.
Dorothy Good is taken to Boston jail where she is incarcerated along with Rebecca Nurse, Martha Corey, Sarah Osborne, Tituba, and her mother, Sarah Good. Because she is believed to be so dangerous, she is heavily restrained with metal chains.
They had to make special manacles for her because her wrist was so small, because she was only 4.5.
The Boston jail was a nasty, dirty, dank place. Rats scurrying across the floor, the smell of chamber pots, unwashed bodies, rotten food, vomit on the floor, and people languishing in this jail as they await trial.
When you were in jail, your family had to support you. There was no meal service, there were no clothes. You know, your friends and your family would have to bring you food or you wouldn't get any.
The fact that they had to pay for their own room and board for fundamentally an imagined crime that they were accused of is one of the darker legacies of all of this.
The best evidence that the court could provide was the confession of suspected witches themselves. In their attempts to gain these confessions, they even resorted to illegal forms of torture, things that would not have been allowed back in England, tying people neck and heels, a painful form of twisting people and bending their spine back. Sometimes they would tie you to boards. So it's a board tied around your shoulders and a board tied behind your ankles, and then those are roped together and pulled back, back, back. And they would keep people like this for hours until they would confess.
The naming of Rebecca Nurse continues to send shockwaves through the Salem community and reinforces the doubts some have about what is happening.
I'd like to begin by reading a note left by our friend Mary Warren.
One of the skeptics is local landowner John Proctor, who claims to have cured his maid Mary Warren by thrashing the devil out of her.
She wanted people to pray in thanks to God for her being delivered of her fits.
Thanks to the good grace of our Lord, I am now free of the terrible hand that was upon me.
But some of the afflicted girls suspect Mary has only recovered because she has signed the devil's book.
I'd now like to begin today's sermon.
Meanwhile, Samuel Parris claims he has no doubt that his church still faces a demonic threat.
Christ knows how many devils there are in his churches and who they are.
As soon as Parris says these words, Sarah Cloyce marches out of the meeting house. The reason is obvious to everyone there. Her sister, Rebecca Nurse, is an accused witch in prison. Like others before her, she will soon discover the danger of attracting the attention of the afflicted girls.
Samuel.
But some villagers have their doubts, and the skepticism is finally expressed by Mary Warren's master, John Proctor.
If these girls are left to their own devices, we shall all become devils and witches quickly.
For all that Salem is really interesting as an exemplified case of a witch hunt, it is important to remember that there were skeptics concerned now. Are things being handled correctly?
Bring them up one at a time.
And Thomas Danforth comes upon an idea that actually was very smart. He, by carefully examining them one by one, was going to kind of break up the mass and get to the truth.
My dear.
But with their biggest audience so far, the afflicted girls fall into chaotic convulsions.
Why do you hurt these girls?
I don't! Her spirit has gone to prison, to her sister Nurse.
The force of the mass overwhelms this effort on Danforth's part.
Danforth eventually manages to restore order, and John Proctor's wife, Elizabeth, is brought to the stand. It seems John Proctor's public outburst, questioning the accusers, has made his wife a target.
Is this the woman that hurts you? Does she prevent you from speaking? What do you say, good wife Proctor, to these things?
I know nothing of it.
Well, if you be not a witch, perhaps you might recite the good Lord's Prayer.
Puritans believed that if someone could say the Lord's Prayer start to finish without making an error, then it meant that they must be one of God's elect and that they surely couldn't be a witch.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Stop there. Once again.
Our Father, who art in heaven, Hallowed be thy name.
There. You said, hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed, hallowed. You know, her accent comes into play.
That's not. I didn't.
But all present heard it clearly.
In a way, it doesn't matter. She could have said anything. It is just so important to the community that someone be found guilty, that the crisis be resolved in the ways that they have available to them. And that linguistic slip is taken as proof that Elizabeth Proctor is in league with the devil.
And then things get even worse. Ann Putnam claims that she's being attacked by Elizabeth Spector.
She bids me sign the devil's book.
My dear, judgment awaits in heaven.
Is she the one that torments you?
Yes, and Goodman Proctor too.
When Elizabeth is accused, John, who's already been a vocal skeptic, loses his temper.
Are we to believe what these distracted children say?
He calls the entire process into question.
They are the ones who should be hanged.
He voices a skepticism that the court is not sympathetic to. It undermines the power of the magistracy, and he's deemed a threat for that reason.
John Proctor's protest sends the girls into even wilder seizures. Abigail is attacked by Elizabeth Spector. She touches her head, only for her hand to suddenly burst into flame. Sarah Cloyce is sent to the jail in Boston, along with both Elizabeth and John Proctor. With the Proctors in prison, their maid Mary Warren witnesses the sheriff arrive to seize all of the Proctors' worldly goods.
Once the people are starting to be accused, there's a sheriff who's going around and collecting stuff, and he is close to one of the judges.
Under the law, convicted witches can have their property seized by the crown. But in Salem, property is taken before suspects have even faced a formal trial.
When she's in jail and she sees that now she's among the witches rather than among the afflicted, she is eager to have herself out of jail and back in court as a witness rather than as a defendant. The magistrates are equally invested in her recanting her testimony.
And you admit you signed the devil's book?
By that time, the testimony of these afflicted girls is instrumental to them being able to convict these evil witches in their midst.
The authorities want Mary to swear that John Proctor and his wife gave her the devil's book to sign.
Was it like this?
Finally, Mary tells them what they want to hear. By mid-April, the witch hunt is running out of control. 9 witches have been named and are in prison. But the mysterious man in black, who was called out by Tituba and believed to be the ringleader of all the terror, remains at large. The following night, Abigail Williams finally discovers the identity of the man in black.
In the pasture outside of the parsonage, a great community of witches was drawn together by the blaring of a horn.
Abigail runs into the pasture where she is confronted by a spectacular vision. There before her, she sees a diabolical meeting of hundreds of witches from throughout New England. She hears them discuss how they have flown in on broomsticks from neighboring towns and villages. Some she even recognizes as accused witches who are in jail. And standing behind a huge table is a man she assumes to be the devil himself.
The visions of the black masses are so clearly the reverse of a regular service.
They came together and sat in orderly rows.
It's as if you took a minus sign in front of everything that a service is and is supposed to be.
So instead of a Christian communion, they eat red bread and they drink blood instead of wine. Within this intensely patriarchal Puritan imagination, there must be a man behind it all.
The archetype of Satan, the person who is behind all of this infestation of evil.
A trumpet blast summons everyone to order, and the man in black stands to address his subjects.
He instructs all the witches in the latest commands from the devil of how they are to attack the Puritan community and how they are to afflict their victims.
It's clear their aim is nothing less than the destruction of all New England. Finally, Abigail recognizes the minister at the head of the table.
The accusation comes of George Burroughs being the man in black.
George Burroughs had been a minister in Salem Village and had left for the main frontier after being expelled by the parishioners. Now we're talking about an ordained minister of God.
Burroughs is a respected man of God at the head of the church.
This is a real attack on the sanctity of the entire Puritan community.
Abigail, who is it?
If Burroughs is the man in black, then the whole godly kingdom is in deadly, deadly peril.